This is a short documentary on how I went from my first Latin ballroom dance competition in 2014 to the World Championship Finals in 3 years. 2014 was my first Latin ballroom competition. I had to learn all of the 5 dances: Samba, Rumba, chacha, Paso, doble and Jive, basically from the very beginning. So how did I go from having never stepped my foot on the ballroom competition to the World Championship Finals in 3 years?
My name is Mikko Kemppe, and in this video I will explain my Latin dance journey from zero to the World Championship Finals. You will see us dancing in the finals, the final moments, and also the results in the end. Make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to my channel. And with that said, enjoy.
Sponsoring the documentary Puhdas Plus, CTN Recovery Technologies, Foodin, Helsinki Salsa Academy, and Sealy Chiropractic Clinic. You will hear more about each of them and how I use their products and services in the documentary. Let's start.
In this event, we have 40 couples representing 15 countries. Representing Finland, Mikko Kemppe and Johanna Raatikainen. Representing Germany.
Are we ready?
Yeah, we are ready. A little bit nervous though.
Seems like lots of really good couples all over the world, so let the best couple win.
And let the battle commence. Thank you.
And part of this journey included numerous biohacking protocols that I used to try to advance and develop as fast as I possibly could. I have spent well over 100,000 euros on many different types of protocols: nutrition, biohacking gear, testing, and in this video I will reveal it all and explain in more detail what I did and outline some of the protocols that I really think helped me. Let me introduce one of the sponsors of the documentary, CTN. CTN is a leading Finnish company focused on the development of recovery technologies. They are a global technology innovator, and the company's mission is to further the holistic well-being through technological innovations that optimizes recovery, improves performance, and assists in your general health. Their solutions and technologies are being used by healthcare professionals, wellness experts, hotels, gyms, spas, as well as professional sports, men and women, and private persons wanting top-of-the-line wellness solutions to recover at their home. For example, in my own journey, I have used X-Cryo for faster recovery, Lead-Bro red light therapy for energy. I have tested their Oxy Pro hyperbaric oxygen chamber with the goal to improve my oxygen absorption, and E-Capin cryotherapy for injury healing and overall wellness. If you are a serious athlete, a sports club, or you are in the wellness industry, or perhaps you are a private person looking for innovative solutions for helping you to recover, CTN provides various solutions and technologies. Visit them at ctn.fi. On their website you can also find a map of all of the locations offering their technologies. I would highly recommend you to go test out their internationally patented cold therapy technology and other treatment methodologies. Now, let's get back to the documentary. In the dance world, especially in the competitive dance world, most everyone think they are working hard. And if you are a dancer watching this, ask yourself, do you think you're working hard in your development? I'm sure you're nodding your head in agreement. The problem I see for many dancers is that the reality is that this in many ways is not enough in today's competitive world anymore. It's not simply enough to think that you're working very hard. And one problem is that the dance, of course, is a subjective art, and the beauty in a way is in the eye of the beholder. But this also means that it's sometimes very hard to know if you are actually getting better and progressing, especially faster than your competitors. If everyone is working hard, it's not enough simply to work hard. You have to work not only harder, but also smarter and harder than your competition. Some sports, I think, is very easy to tell if you're truly progressing. If you are running the 100-meter dash, it's very clear who the winner is, the one who runs the fastest. You can objectively time it. If you're a weightlifter, it's very clear. Either you are lifting the most kilos or you don't. You can simply very easily measure it. Even in my old sport basketball, you could simply just keep score. But in the dance world that I got into at the age 33, it was not always so clear. Of course, in the competition you get your result, but then it's much easier to rationalize and give yourself a comfortable excuses like, well, the judges just did not like my style. And what I have observed is that this makes it also very easy for dancers to fool themselves. So how did I go from not ever in my life competing in the Latin ballroom, starting at the age 33, to go to Latin ballroom finals in Miami in 2017, only 3 years later? Let me clarify something from the beginning. I did not compete, of course, in the most professional category. I completely understand the reality that my category is not anywhere near the most professional one. Basically, the category I was competing in was an age category called a senior one. This means that one partner had to be over 30 and the other one over 35. However, I would argue that even in the World Championship level, even in this category, it's quite competitive. And in the championship, there was over 40 couples competing from all over the world. And many dancers, I'm sure, had started dancing Latin ballroom already at a young age that I competed against, and maybe took a break at some point and came back to the competition world. So for sure, I had to compete against many couples who already had years of experience ahead of me. So I had to find ways not only to advance as fast as I possibly could, to progress, but furthermore to pass many couples who have started way earlier than I did. I'm sure what helped me a little bit was that I used to play quite high-level basketball in the United States in a university, so I did already have an experience and an understanding of what high-level sports training mentality means.
First round done, second round is right now, best of 24. And really great competition, fantastic competitors. Johanna, what do you think?
It's a really interesting.
Also, I do have experience in salsa dancing, so the Latin rhythms and moves were not completely foreign to me. So this was my starting point. Brought to you also by Helsinki Salsa Academy. Want to learn to dance salsa and bachata in Helsinki, Finland? Well, here's where you can find me. Now, let's get back to the documentary. Also, the largest contribution to my success I attribute finding a great teacher and coach, Sergey Belyaev from Tanssiklubi Master here in Helsinki, Finland.
With Mikko and Johanna, it was interesting because both of them, they had a dancing background. Johanna comes from standard Latin and Mikko also had a background in salsa. So Latin roots were very close for them and it was an interesting project. But I think what was the most interesting is because they both had a passion for dance. They had the love for dance, and I think that's what is eventually important. Regardless all the thing what you do with the dance, all the preparation, technical preparation. Eventually, what I say is that technique is not the aim; it is the way to express yourself. So I think what makes dancer a good dancer is the passion. Is the energy that comes from inside. And I think these two, they had this passion and the energy. Of course, there was lots to develop, but I think eventually the strongest part was the passion and interest to learn and excitement. So I think that's the most important on any level. To have this inner fire that drives you, the energy that comes from inside and that the judges and the audience can feel.
His guidance, teaching, coaching and vision for my dance journey was invaluable, of course, for my success, and without it, I don't see how it would have been possible. In the social salsa dancing world, I see that it's quite unfortunate that students don't usually get to form this type of more goal-oriented coaching relationships, and many students simply never really try to achieve their true potential in dancing. So for sure, if you're a serious dancer, you need to find a coach that you can fully trust. And for you, yourself, you need to commit 110% to the team. I think it goes without saying that if you're trying to reach to the top by yourself in any sport or dance, and you don't develop a solid team around you that can guide you, I think, of course, you're just fooling yourself. Like I said in the beginning of this video, I will also detail many of the so-called biohacking protocols I developed to try to help me with recovery, to help me train much faster, to help me develop my muscle memory faster, to help me with my mental preparation and focus. Now, biohacking is a sort of an umbrella term that can mean many different things, but in this context, I simply mean how I try to maximize the potential of my body and mind to improve my dance performance and development. Many world-class athletes in different sports are already using some of these methods, and I think this could be one of the areas that, if you explore as a dancer, could still give you a huge competitive advantage if you're serious about your progress and development. One of the key areas inside of sports and biohacking, I think, is your recovery process. You can simply think about it this way: the faster and more efficiently you recover your body, mind and nervous system from a dance competitions or from your training, the more intensively you can train the next day in your training day. Sponsored by Sealy Chiropractic Clinic. 162 5-star reviews on Google. I have used their services over 10 years. If you live in Helsinki or Oulu, Finland and need an adjustment or better posture and performance, contact Sealy Chiropractic Clinic. Now let's get back to the documentary. So if you go to the dance floor and you're already exhausted, tired, maybe even burnt out, you can ask yourself how efficient of a training session you think you will have. The faster and more efficiently your body, your mind, your nervous system can recover between your intensive training sessions, you understand, the harder you potentially can train and faster you potentially can develop. At the same time, as I was training for the World Championships, I was running a couple of different companies as well. So you understand, I did not have the luxury of just focusing on training like many dance couples who do this as a professional sport do. So believe it or not, in the years I was training, I for sure have spent well over 100,000 euros in just different biohacking gear like floating tank to help me with my recovery, visualization practice, neurofeedback machine to develop my ability to focus, infrared saunas, hot and cold therapies, breathing practices, equipment to recover, pulse electromagnetic field mat, different nutritional protocols, IV, intravenous treatments. I have explored probably hundreds of different types of modalities to try to recover faster, to be able to train more intensively, and to give me a competitive edge. Just to give you an idea of the intensity I was then able to produce. This is a graph from one of our practice nights. For 3 days I was testing my maximum heart rate and my heart rate variability, and in the practice night my maximum heart rate was able to reach about 199 for an extended period of time. This basically means that when I was dancing and training, let's say in my practice nights, I was able to do it quite intensively. Part of the biohacking world is something also called the quantified self, which simply means that if you want to truly progress and be more objective about your progress, it is a good idea to measure and get data on your progress. For example, I did blood tests, I used the heart rate variability measures, Oura rings to measure my sleep quality, etc. I will detail some of the other things and protocols that I used and I found working for me. But again, in short, I would say that those top dance athletes, the biggest competitive advantage, I think, is not what you actually do on the dance floor, but actually what you are doing off the dance floor. Now, just think about it. All the couples you are competing against are for sure working hard, and some are harder than others. So if you want to pass the other couples that are also working very hard, and you want to progress, you have to start to look for any and all possible options that can possibly give you more of a competitive advantage. Now, to be clear, I'm not in any way suggesting using any illegal or banned substances. Everything I tried and used was completely 100% legal. But if you think about it, one way you can get a competitive advantage, if you can, for example, just simply recover faster between training sessions, if you can become faster, more mobile, flexible, and more coordinated athlete, the faster you're able to recover your body and your nervous system, then the more intensively you have the potential to train in your next training, and this can result in faster progress. Now let's go back to dancing and start with the clip from 2017 World Championships of Senior 1 category in Miami. For me, this was definitely one of the highlights of my entire dance career. Remember, I was just a basketball player who turned into dancing at an adult age. For those in the Latin dance world, the names such as Slavik Kriklev and Karina Smirnov, they are legendary names. Slavik, with his former partner Anna, has his own documentary, and I will post the link below. And they are for sure one of the foremost legends of Latin dancing. And I simply never could have believed that one day I would be performing my competition routines, or would be competing rather, in the same night as he would be performing. Truly a beautiful memory.
Yeah, definitely the show of Slavik and Karina made it a beautiful surprise for everybody and gave something special. I think seeing a live show of dance idols like them, extremely talented and dedicated people, it's always a pleasure for audience, for dancers, for adjudicators. And I think this was one of the special parts of this event.
This brings me to one of my first most important beliefs. You should, of course, dare to dream big and always keep an open mind to your potential and set big goals. You don't know what you are capable of. Of course, this doesn't necessarily mean that everything is possible, but you simply also don't know what you're truly capable if you truly gave it your absolutely 100% best effort. Again, I would like to thank my coach Sergey Belyaev and to remind that you should find a coach you can trust. Commit yourself to 110%. Alone, I don't think you could make this possible. So finding someone who can see further than you yourself can and has a vision for your development. Then, if you find a coach or teacher like this, then be ready to commit to the hard work and do your part. But when you have an open mind, and you continuously want to invest, become smarter, find better ways to train and recover, we can find things that you might not even know was available. For example, today the technology to develop your mind and body, I think, is truly amazing. For example, we can already measure accurately how well we sleep, how we recover, how we can test for different diets that fit us perhaps the best. Use technology that in the past might have cost hundreds of thousands of euros and was only used for the most advanced clinics in the world. But now many of this technology is available for you. But you do need to continuously and actively search about how you could become better, and you have to work hard. That's a given. For example, just the biohacking protocols that I experimented with took years and countless of hours of continuous research. A lot of money, a lot of effort to try to find how I myself could train harder and smarter. So number one, you need to work hard, but you also need to start thinking how you can work smarter to get the most results out of your hard work. For example, for me, I had to find ways that I could pass other dancers whom already been working hard for several years and had several years of experience behind them. So I had to find ways to advance so fast that I could have a chance not to only develop, but to pass many of the top couples in the world in my category. Of course, another great fortune I had along my journey was to find hardworking, great, talented partners to accompany me on this journey. So big thank you to all my previous dance partners to join me on this Latin journey. Now, let's analyze a little bit about my embarrassing dance beginnings to see where I actually started. Now remember, I never identified myself really as a dancer. Throughout my youth, I more identified myself as a stiff basketball player originally from Oulu, Finland. And one of the biggest weaknesses I had for sure was super stiff body. You can imagine playing a professional basketball in my youth, lifting a lot of weights, never stretching, for sure took a huge toll for my body, especially in terms of flexibility and mobility. In fact, in my training, I almost used 2 hours a day to try to recover my body and then find ways to do exercises that would help me with my flexibility. At first, it seemed like it was almost impossible to gain any mobility and flexibility. Then one protocol, for example, I used was after training at night, I would use an infrared sauna bag first to 20 to 30 minutes after the training to try to further deep heat my muscles. And then follow that with about 30 minutes of light foam rolling of my fascia. And after that, I would do either dynamic stretching moves or some mobility work with some light weights. This combination seemed to gain the best results that were more long-lasting than simply stretching or mobility work alone. One of the keys also was that I tried to eat very anti-inflammatory diets. What does this mean? This means that basically when we eat in a way that helps your body recover even faster, you will have the potential to heal some of the micro breakdown of my muscle tissue, for example, when I was stretching hard. When you do mobility work and stretching, you also are tearing some of your muscle fibers. Of course, when you're lifting weights, you do this also. And this means that even this is taking a toll on your body. While the best possible strategy for you would be to do different types of testing to find out what would be the absolutely optimal nutritional plan for you, I think there are some overall suggestions that many can often benefit from. I'm proud to present our main sponsor, a Finnish nutritional company, Puhdas Plus. Puhdas literally means clean in Finnish, and their mission is to provide high-quality nutritional supplements without any extra fillers or additives that so many times are in the nutritional supplements. I have experimented with numerous different nutritional companies, but I always seem to go back to using more and more products from Puhdas Plus. And here are just some of my favorite products that I use. Some of the basic vitamins and minerals I use from Puhdas Plus are Quattro Magnesium with 4 different types of magnesium, vitamin D3 and multi-B vitamin, just to cover some bases. For sport performance, my 3 absolute must products would be essential amino acids, creatine and sport collagen. Some of my favorites for, let's say, overall health are nattokianis, curcumin with pyoprine and probiotic with oat fiber. Again, this is just some of the products I use from Puhdas Plus, so check out all the products they offer and visit puhdasplus.fi. Now, let's get back to the documentary. What I did for sure was not to eat any gluten or any grains. I did not use any vegetable oils. I limited my sugar intake. I for sure did not use any high fructose corn syrups or high fructose sugar products, any trans fats or hydrogenated oils, any artificial sweeteners, colorings, and also at times limited my milk products or any other substances that I thought could lead to inflammation in my body. Over the years, I have experimented with hundreds of different types of nutritional supplements, medicinal mushrooms, vitamins, minerals, cream powders, detox plants, herbs, etc. Now in this video, I simply don't have time to go into further details on all of those protocols, but sponsored also by Finnish superfood company Foodin. Let me share some of my current and all-time favorite products. For hydration, coconut water from fresh coconuts, electrolytes with sodium, potassium, magnesium, calcium, MSM, vitamin C and Celtic sea salt, just great for your training. For energy and for work, I have often used either Flow Cacao or Flow Coffee and added some MCT oil. For those moments of flow, I highly recommend it. For my green drinks, 2 of my favorite from Foodin, chlorella powder and nettle. Both powders come packed with different nutrients. And finally, for some recovery and relaxation, I have used collagen protein and reishi extract powder. I have trusted Foodin products for over 10 years, for years before they have ever sponsored me, and I continue to use them daily. So go check out their website, order their products. They ship almost anywhere around the world. Just sharing the happiness with you. I do believe there are many supplements that can definitely help top-level athletes. Some basic ones I would consider making sure I use a good magnesium supplement, essential amino acids, glucosamine, collagen, perhaps electrolyte products, and perhaps a good multivitamin product, just to cover some bases. Again, remember, I'm not a doctor. This is not to be taken as some type of medical advice. I'm simply sharing what I have done in my journey. Here you can already see me after, looking a lot better from when I started. Sharper, with a better sense of body awareness, control. Another interesting key Latin dance training idea for you to develop faster, I would say, would be how would you be able to train something in your muscle memory faster? Think about it. The faster your body is able to master a new movement, the better, right? As a dancer, it is not just about your body that is working a lot, but also your brain and your overall nervous system. You cannot simply just mindlessly train in dancing. Your brain needs to be as focused as possible in many different ways. You need to focus on the music, your body, your partner, your expression, your coordination, your balance, etc. Someone who is just running a marathon, let's say, I would say can sometimes even just kind of relax their brain, or at least certain parts of their brain, as their body is training. But as a dancer, you simply cannot afford to do that. In my experience, when you have a competition, practice night, or you just want to have a hard training session, you experience a flood of hormones, neurotransmitters, and you are engaging your brain constantly in a very holistic way, and you're trying to push your body at the same time while you're focusing on the music, the rhythm, your feelings, sensations, your balance, your coordination, and your partner. You're often also listening to music at a high volume. And while all of this is very exciting, it can also be very taxing to your nervous system and other systems in your body. You're fully engaged in such a way that actually is also very demanding for your mind and body. Sometimes, even if your body might have been recovered from the previous training session, it is possible that your nervous system and your mind perhaps have not. And for you to be able to fully focus and take in, let's say, new information, to adapt it into your dancing, and to focus on all the different ways you possibly can develop. In dancing, you need to fully involve your brain, your body, in each moment for you to actually learn new movement patterns and new information.
In respect to the preparation for the competitive Latin dancing, and it's quite complex. Because nowadays the Latin dancing is not just Latin dances, it's a symbiosis of different directions. Throughout the years it took in techniques of different dance styles like ballet, folk dancing, modern, as well as the acrobatics, and it became a great symbiosis of different styles. Therefore, for a dancer who wants to be successful in this direction, it requires to experience different styles and prepare yourself from different points of view, which includes the physical preparation, the technical preparation, and of course enriching yourself with versatile techniques. Yeah, so I always advise to my dancers to try different dance directions like what I have mentioned, and here in our studio we are also often involve specialists from other styles like flamenco or street, modern, which makes your dance vocabulary broader.
And to help me recover between training sessions, I used many different technologies. One such an amazing technology I used was float tanks. I have perhaps floated more than any man in Finland. I have floated at least 500 hours. Another name for float tank is sensory deprivation tank. And the idea is you lay in a warm, skin temperature water in complete darkness and silence. The tank is filled with 200 to 300 kilograms of Epsom salt. The Epsom salt itself relaxes you, but then when you float in the water, your body and mind is able to go even more deeper relaxed state. You can do meditation, visualization practice there as well. But the basic idea is that you can find a place where all of your sensory inputs are removed and your senses are deprived of most sensory input for your nervous system also to relax. Today, even some of the NBA athletes are using this technology. Joe Rogan, a famous podcast host, has talked about his experiences in his podcast and so on. And I will post some links about this below. I had my own float tank in our studio. And for years it was the only tank in Helsinki. Now they become more popular. This is definitely some key technology that I thought that would help me recover much faster. So the more you're able to rest and relax, the faster you're able to be ready for even more intensive training. Another technology I used for recovery was called Neurosonic, a product from Finland which produces very low frequency vibration. It basically has a balancing effect on your autonomic nervous system and helps you rest and recover faster. Another technology I used was called Beamer. It's basically a pulse electromagnetic field therapy machine. Another technology I experimented was deep trance meditation machine called Pandora Star. And what I also did was I often stacked these technologies. In biohacking circles, stacking simply means that you're using some of these technologies simultaneously. For example, I might have used a Neurosonic mattress and lay on top of it and have a treatment while I was inside my infrared sauna bag, and while simultaneously I had Pandora Star Deep Trance Light System on. And the effect of combining, let's say, all of these protocols or technologies, you could really talk about a deep relaxation and recovery experience in just 30 minutes. And I definitely felt like almost like a reborn. The effect was amazing. Now again, just as a disclaimer, please, if you decide to use some of these protocols, and especially if you decide to stack some of these protocols, please consult your doctor first. Make sure that they are okay for you. Now, having said that, you can properly understand that if it is possible for you to recover faster and more efficiently, you open the possibility that you can train harder the next day. And if you can, for example, train harder than your competition, now we are talking about a chance that you can have to pass them. Now, I also experimented with different types of nutritional protocols, red light therapy technology, and another interesting technology, especially for dancers, I would say, was a product called Halo. The idea of a halo at the time was that it is a brain stimulation technology. So basically imagine if you put on a headphones that has these little soft spikes. The idea is that the headband that is sitting on top of your head can stimulate your motor cortex in a way that you would enter what they called a heightened state of learning. Just imagine the idea that you could learn movements faster and you would be able to train in a way that you would achieve movement patterns faster into your muscle memory. As a dancer, you need to do many repetitions to master a new movement pattern, correct? Right? Now imagine if you could speed up this process. Well, that was the idea of this device. Now, can I say that all of these technologies worked? I'm not sure. I often used many different things simultaneously, so it's absolutely impossible for me to dissect and explain in detail scientifically what might have worked and what perhaps did not work. However, of course, through these experiences, I have gained subjective ideas and experience what I think has made the most difference.
Made it to the final. Wow. It was quite exciting. It was fun to compete, felt good. And now the final round is in about 15 minutes. So just trying to warm up and get ready.
Did you think you'd make it into the final?
Yeah.
He did. I hoped.
So let's see.
Well, congratulations. How do you think you'll do? Well, let's not jinx it.
You need to learn to lose. I think this is important advice, especially in today's world. I think with the development of social media, the information flows very fast and people want to get everything today right now. And they get easily disappointed if there is some unexpected results or failure. I think people need to learn to lose and learn from losing. So from their experience, that's, I think, a very important advice. important to go forward, not to give up. Once you give up, you simply give a place for someone else who was behind you. So eventually the one who gets there, again, is probably not the most talented, but the most stable in his or her mind, the one who managed to go through the whole way.
So those of you who are not dancers but watching this, in the Latin dance finals there are 5 dances: Samba, chacha, rumba, Paso, doble and Jive. And first you will see the Samba.
Samba, music please.
The Samba is originally from Brazil, of course. Of course, this is a competitive dance sport version of the Samba dance with very specific rules and regulations. The term ballroom dancing, used often in Latin ballroom, is derived from the word ball, which in turn originates from the Latin word ballare, which means to dance. A ball room being a large room specifically designed for these dances. And here in Miami you for sure see a wonderful representation of a beautiful ballroom created for this competition. The dancers are trying to create a slight bounce feeling created through bending and straightening the knee. Samba, usually not our strongest dance, but it felt good. And when I started over the years, I have learned to enjoy the dance more and more.
Working, keep it tight every day. And I know you need a taste when I fall in love.
The next dance is from Cuba, the chacha, one of my favorites for sure. In the dance sport often it is called also cha-cha-cha, and it was developed by Enrique Jorin in the early 1950s. The story of the name cha-cha-cha is interesting as it is onomatopoeic word, meaning it is naming a thing or action, imitating natural sounds. In this case, the dancer's feet sort of sliding in the floor, making the sound. And some say it was originally called the triple step mambo. The dancers are often trying to create a mood of sort of fun and flirtatious play between each other and the audience. The Rumba, which doesn't actually have anything to do with the original Cuban Rumba. The dance sport Rumba direction is dance to the music style that is originally and is still often called bolero or sometimes son cubano. Rumba is the slowest of these 5 dances, and in the dance sometimes the dance can symbolize struggles of real life, let's say specifically romantic struggles, and can be in this way used as a metaphor for life. The dance is often favorite of many couples. I for sure have also learned to really enjoy this dance.
Bring it back, sing it back, bring it back, sing it back to me. When you are ready, I will surrender. Take me and do as you wish. Have what you want, your way's always the best way. this passive sensation, peacefully falling away. I am a zombie, a wish will command me, laugh as I fall to my knees. Bring it back, sing it back, bring it back, sing it back to me. Bring it back, sing it back, bring it back, sing it back to me. Come to my sweet melody.
Let's meet these World Championship finalists once again. From France, Stéphane Guiharo and Jennifer Meunier. From Finland, Mikko Kemppe and Johanna Raatikainen. From Germany,
And then let's move to the fourth dance, the Paso doble, which gets its ideas from dramatic bullfighting. The leader represents the Spanish matador and the woman or the follower, often the matador's cape. Sometimes the follower also represents the bull, picador or flamenco dancer, or even the matador. This is actually the only dance that is usually choreographed to the actual highlights of the song structure. And then the last dance of the final, the Jive. The Jive is a part of the swing dance group, of course, and some say it is a lively version of the jitterbug. Jive basically is said to be originating from African American clubs in the early 1940s during the World War II. American soldiers have then been said to introduce it, Jive, to England, where it then was developed and adapted to today's competitive Jive. And this is the final dance of the final. So let's see how all the dancers do.
I'm going through withdrawals. You don't even have to do too much. You can turn me on with just a touch, baby. Since it is cold and empty, no one's around to judge me. I can see clearly when you're gone. I said, ooh, I'm blinded by the lights. No one can sleep until I feel your touch. I said, ooh, I'm drowning 'cause I can see the sunlight up the sky. So I hit the road in overdrive, baby. Oh, and city's cold and empty. So once
And now the final is over, and now let's wait for the results.
I think this championship collected quite a competitive level of couples, so it was challenging, and there was no favorites. It was difficult until the end to say who will actually make it to the top, to the final. So it can turn one or another way in this competition. So many couples who were on a good level, somebody had strengths in one side, somebody had strengths in another side, so eventually on the day it could change. So I think it was a good competitive level, which we are sometimes missing now. Good setting, good atmosphere, and very unpredictable event.
Mikko Kemppe and Johanna Raatikainen from Finland. In Senior 1 Latin and winners of the gold medal, Valentino Esposito and Wada from Italy.
Our placement was the 6th place, and the winners of the competition, Valentino Esposito and Laura Ciaccanino from Italy. Congrats to the winners and all the competitors. Let's see a short sample of the winners' honor dance, the Rumba. And then back to the analysis of our coach, Sergey Belyaev.
I think that they did a great job, or did what they could do, because I think they really tried. Dancing, I don't consider dancing as a sport. In one way, it is sport, in another way it's not sport at all, because the sport component is a competition itself. But what makes it different from the sport, it's complexity, which is very similar to art. In most of the sports, it's very clear that what you expect from the sportsman. Either you have to run faster or create a certain movement, execute without any mistake, like in figure skating. In dancing it's much more complex. So you need to be very prepared in order to understand what is actually required. Like painting, you know, when you observe a great piece of art, you also need to be prepared to be able to enjoy deeper, you know. So same is with dancing. But anyway, like in sports, I think all you should have done before the competition. And the quality of what you can show is how you have practiced before. So you should practice as much, so that as many times, you know, as many times you should repeat, so that you don't allow mistake for yourself. Yeah. So of course there are some dancers who are so-called dancers in the training hall, who do great job on the training hall. They go to competition and they cannot open up themselves. But I think a strong part of Mikko and Johanna was that they were actually mentally quite strong, or again quite passionate about what they do. So they could put the things together and do a great result for a couple who actually at that time in this scene were not known. Because I think the other couples, they had much more opportunities and time to prepare. So relatively, with the length of the partnership, with the amount of training hours, I think they actually did better than expected. But of course you could have done better.
And that's it, that's the documentary. Let me know what you thought about it. Leave a comment below, like the video if you liked my journey, and subscribe to my channel. Soon you will still see a few comments from my coach. So the documentary is not quite over. This is just my final comments. Congrats to the winners of 2017 World Championships, Valentino Esposito and Laura Ciaccanino from Italy. Thank you for all the fellow competitors. Thank you Robin Chisenstein and his great staff for organizing the event, and of course WDSF. Of course, I would like to thank my ex-partner Johanna for sharing this journey with me, my coach Sergey Belyaev, and all of our sponsors. My personal belief is that you should always, of course, strive to win. And now, with that said, I still completely agree with my coach that it's still also good to learn to gentlemanly lose and to learn from losing. I think in today's world, although it is competitive, we sometimes forget the true meaning of competitions. And if we examine a little bit closer to the root meaning of the word competition, we really realize the most important aspect of it. The word competition comes from Latin, and it means com, which means coming together or together, doing something together, and petere, which means seeking excellence. So together, competitions, competere, means seeking excellence together. And I think that is something we should always remember when we compete against each other or we compete in the world, that ultimately it's simply about coming together to seek excellence. So, until next time, hope to maybe see you on the dance floor.
I think the great part of our dance sport or art, whatever you call it, is that you can enjoy the process. You don't only enjoy the result, but you're actually able to enjoy the process. And that's whoever trained dancing, competitive dancing, I think it's really important to try to find this moment where you really enjoy what you do and be in a constant search of pleasure of the movement, of achieving, overcoming yourself, finding new angles in what you do. I think dancing is a beautiful direction like none. It's something that you cannot express with words, something that you can only experience through the movement. And definitely everybody should dance, because this is extremely natural. It's about the rhythm of your body, and rhythm is everywhere in our body, heartbeat, pulse, breathing. So I think it's very natural. No matter on which level you do it, you should try to do it. And compared to any other types of physical activities, it's also very balanced, because we equally develop artistic and physical side, and on a physical side it's also very balanced in terms of how you develop different groups of muscles, but not just having a pressure on a certain group of muscles like in other sports, which can cause traumas or overloading of certain parts of the body. So in that sense, I think it's good for any age, for any situation. But again, dancing is about dancing it with your soul, not with your body. So I think it's important to keep in mind this part.
Thank you one more time for the sponsors: Puhdas Plus, CTN Recovery Technologies, Foodin, Helsinki Salsa Academy, and Sealy Chiropractic Clinic. And very special thank you to my videographer Sebastian Trzaska for all of the footage filmed in Miami, our coach Sergey Belyaev and Tanssiklubi master, my partner Johanna Raatikainen, Helsinki Salsa Academy one more time, where all of the early training clips was filmed, Puhdas Plus, Fooding for my nutrition, Sealy for chiropractic care, Biohacking Center Finland for all of my floating sessions, Risto Santala for countless physiotherapy sessions, all of the companies providing different biohacking equipment, for example Bandora Star, Neuro Optimal, Hypervibe, SynLab for blood testing and also consultation. Many others for providing care and training for my body included, but certainly not limited to Sirja Heinonen, Jatta from Pilates Gym, Kryo21, Jani Toivonen and Ilari Asikainen. Once again, thank you for watching. If you're interested to contact me for any questions or any type of future collaboration ideas, please write me to mkempe@gmail.com. I will try to respond as soon as I can. Thank you once again for watching. Perhaps we'll see you somewhere soon.
this passive sensation.